Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Incompetent Nerds. Knee deep in quarantine, but we're always in quarantine because it's America. But we have a very special guest today, my good buddy, the best in the biz, Mike Perkins.
Mike, what's up?
What's going on,
What's
Mike?
What's up? Thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, we always like having our guests on. We try to get different guests from all walks of life. Mike is a comic, that's how I know him. But as I'll let him answer the question. Mike, what are you a nerd about?
Well, I've worked at casinos for about 10 years now, and I'm an East Coast guy, and I'm a white guy, so automatically I'm Italian. And see a white guy from Jersey? Yep, he's Italian. That's it. He's definitely Italian. I'm a big mob guy, man. I'm not in the mob. I was like, might be a fucking you, Mark. You ratting me up? Wear a wire? Holy shit! I'm saying to myself. And I'm a big mobster movie fan, and I just love everything about the mob and stuff. And it's funny that my whole family's been in casinos for about like 30 years now. So.
It's like you're mob adjacent.
I'm funny. I'm very mob adjacent. Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm using that on stage now, Mark. Thank you so much for that.
That was really good.
That was good.
Bro, you know how many
mob adjacent is very funny.
Bro, you have no idea how many times I have given Mark so much material and told him that you can just use it, bro. I don't care.
I love that.
Yeah, that's why you have a podcast, right? Just to get new stuff.
Exactly.
But do you know the history of the mob and like casinos? Is there like I don't know the connection. Do you guys?
So casinos have always been around. I mean, like if you watch like Boardwalk Empire, kind of glorified that, where they had like Atlantic City, like back in the 1920s and stuff.
Yeah.
During Prohibition, they always Prohibition is what kind of made the mob in America. Actually, because the mob has always been around in Italy. And, when they came over like Ellis Island and stuff in the 1900s, Italians were just like, very poor. But once they passed Prohibition, that's how all these guys just, like Capone and Lucky Luciano and all these guys, that's how they made millions and millions of dollars and took over kind of America in that. So like, the government being like, no one's allowed to drink anymore. They really just fucked themselves and was like, they gave all these guys just like, they took over,
Yeah.
But for casinos too, casinos were always underground until, I guess it was the Flamingo in Vegas was the very first like resort casino from Bugsy Siegel, who Bugsy Siegel was one of the guys that ran around with Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky and stuff. So
he was like the first. Is he Italian? He was like the first Italian to make it on the West Coast.
He was. I think he was half Italian. He was actually a Jewish guy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So what it was like Charlie Luciano, who's Lucky Luciano. He was Sicilian. He was full Italian. But he always got beef when he would like hang around with like Jewish guys and stuff because he used to work for. I've been watching Boardwalk Empire again, so I'm kind of fresh in all of the. the names of these guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he was with Meyer Lansky and Bugsy Siegel, they were Jewish guys, but they were still like New York, and I think they were. Meyer Lansky wasn't, but I think Bugsy Siegel actually was half Italian. But he was like part of that whole. He was part of that whole crew, so Bugsy always had the backing from from Lucky Luciano.
He's got the Jewish connections to build the casino out west.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, and Lucky Luciano, wasn't he the one that actually like reunited all of the families to kind of get them all on board for like one purpose, which is like money or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Because that was back in because everyone during Prohibition they all kind of did their own thing, but once they kind of brought they got rid of Prohibition, they kind of wanted to make what the hell is it called? Not an outfit. They kind of made they just made it all legit where like they all got to all the families in New York, Chicago, they all made a truce where it would just be the not the corporation. What the hell is it called?
The Cosa Nostra, right?
The Cosa Nostra.
Well, the Cosa Nostra actually is the mafia. That's like the Italian term for mafia.
But it's like you have the like you have your boss, you have your like underboss, and it's
And
like
then
the structure's
associate, capo.
yeah.
Yeah. They actually, they just kind of like not legalized it, but they just kind of organized. It's when organized crime, I guess,
yeah,
became organized. Was because they kind of had it's not the corporation. I'll remember the word.
A syndicate?
Yeah, I guess it was a syndicate. It was just kind of like Luciano being like he's the head of it, and like they would just go and talk to all the big guys, being like, that's how you became made and stuff. Where you would become made, like if I was like, oh, I want to fucking whack Mark, but Mark's a made guy,
Right.
I would have to go to the big guys and be like, have a sit down, and that's how they did all their business. You know what I mean? Through everything, and that's what made it legitimate. Through all of that.
Yeah, I like it.
But
okay. You got I feel like you got a mom story in you.
I feel it too.
I don't know if it's real or it's from history, but I feel like you have one.
Oh god.
Am I wrong?
Other than the mobs in Chicago, it's just like I really don't know much about them other just Capone and how big how big they got and all the shit that Capone did in the past and how he got big all through just Chicago. Because I felt like New York is like freaking was like mafia center, like everything, all the legends and lore and everything like that came from New York. But then again, you have the number one, which was the St. Valentine's Massacre with Capone, and how that blew up. From what I know, history wise, when Vegas became a thing for the mobsters, it was during the 50s, I want to say.
Yeah.
And a lot of mobsters started going like, it's like what Mike said. A lot of them just, united under one thing and decided to make money.
That's what it's called.
The commission. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them, their goal was just like, okay, alcohol is legal. We got to find another way to make money. And I think to them, drug dealing was too low for them. So they wanted to find out a way that they know they can make money constantly, especially from the same people that a drug is not killing them with.
Right.
So what's the next best drug that you won't kill somebody? Gambling.
That's true.
Yeah.
We all know somebody with a gambling problem. Either you have a problem or you know somebody that's related to you that has a gambling problem. And what happens? That's how these mobsters made their money. And I think nowadays, well, that's the image nowadays of Vegas, is that the mobsters do not own anything anymore, which is, I feel, is just bullshit. They still do, but they just made it more it's more
publicly traded on the stock market.
No, it just whoever, they just hired great PR and was like, yeah, this is the new CEO of the Bellagio or whatever, the new owner of the Bellagio, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool. It's not some Italian guy or some mobster sounding name or whatever, but deep down it's like that's just a puppet.
Well, they still run. They still have ties in there and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure they do. I really like Benny Binion's story because he came from he was like a Texas cowboy, and he came to Vegas, and I feel like that's what every organized crime guy is just, eventually you're just like, convicted of murder in Texas, I'll go to Vegas, it's fine. He was banned from owning firearms because he was a convicted felon. He went to jail for killing like a black moonshine runner in the 50s, but he only served 2 years in jail for it. And then when he came to Vegas, he always had a gun on him. But you're not allowed to own a weapon when you're a convicted felon. But it's not like he was arrested.
Binion's ran his own casino too, isn't Binion's still like around? It's like downtown, right?
Yeah. Binion's is still it's still pretty big, and they were the first casino to have the $1 million out there. They Benny Binion himself made the World Series of Poker by just inviting people to play poker. He revolutionized the sport, if you call it a sport.
He turned it into a sport.
Yeah.
That's what's insane about going back to like gambling problems and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened with Benny Siegel. Was like he kept when he wanted to build the Flamingo, he finally built it, but it ended up costing it was like, oh, it's only going to cost $1 million. Then it was $2 million. Then he's like, oh, then it's $5 million. And he was getting his money from the commission and the mob. So Meyer Lansky was kind of just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you owe us $5 million. And it was a big flop and stuff. But there's also the thing where his wife, what's her name? Virginia Hill. That was his wife. She was supposedly taking money off the top or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they end up whacking Bugsy Siegel in LA, which is fucked up because they still have the mansion there and it's kind of like a gift shop and stuff. It's kind of, I don't know why.
That's so fucked up.
Even in death, he's still paying us back.
Right.
Yeah, it's I don't know, you want to get your picture taken on the couch you got killed at? I don't know. I just imagine tourists with the camera around their neck and stuff and being acting like they're dead on the couch.
It's very weird. I never really thought about it until John Travolta came out with the movie Gotti a few years ago.
Oh my god, it was so bad.
You didn't like it?
It was so. Do you like it?
Why didn't you like it?
Bro, it was so. All right. Did everybody else see it?
No,
I never seen it. I heard it was bad.
I don't care. You can spoil it if you're gonna spoil it.
Yeah,
I just don't care.
All right, well, Mark, go. Why you think it's awesome?
Well, I'm not saying I don't think the acting or the cinematography blew me away, but just the story that it told about the Gambino crime family, how Gotti rose to power, his inner workings of his family and his son, how the Fed still went after him even when his son was he was in jail, they went after his son, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Why didn't you like it?
Gotti. All right, we'll talk about Gotti. Well, the whole movie, Travolta. I like Travolta as a mob guy, like him and when he was in The Punisher and he was supposed to be the big mob guy. He's a good mob. Even he was what's the movie? Get Shorty. Those.
Yeah. I love Get Shorty.
He's great as a mob guy. Even Pulp Fiction, he's not a mob boss, but he's great as a mob guy. But the movie itself, I actually tried to apply to that thing 10 fucking times because they were filming in New York, and they never got back to me.
Oh, so it's personal.
It's a personal thing. No, it's just the way they did it, dude. They were supposed to be Lindsay Lohan was supposed to be in it, which wasn't going to make it any better. But they just had so much financial stuff with the movie. But also, dude, it was shot so bad. There was one scene. This is what kills me for the movie: is the music choices were so fucking bad in the movie. Because there was one part, Mark. I don't know if you remember this part, but this is what threw me off. Because I was watching, I was like, it's kind of shitty, but okay. And then I was like, fuck this movie. Because there was a scene where Travolta's like, we're gonna take everything for ourselves. We're gonna be the business that we need to be, or whatever. And then it shot to a montage, and it was like, walk like an Egyptian. It was just and they were beating up dudes in an alleyway and stuff, and it was what is happening right now?
This is why I love Mike. He remembers all the nuances of the movies he hated.
Hey, I'm the same way, so I'm right there with you, homie.
Yeah.
I did watch something about it, somebody reviewing it, and they were just talking about how, like you said, the cinematography was crap, the acting was crap, the cuts, the editing was just horrible, and that it went through 4 different hands. That movie went through 4 or 5 different hands, and that's what just screwed it all up.
It seemed like if it was done by one director and edit, and everything was comprehensive and cohesive, I think it would have been. I think what happened was Travolta was like, hey, they haven't made a movie about John Gotti in a while. I can do that. Give me an editor, give me a director, give me a producer. Oh, you need some more money? Oh, get this guy.
Yeah. Well, they actually had. John Gotti Jr. was an executive producer on the fucking thing and stuff. So I'm sure they had a lot of hardships where they kept thinking. I think they were skimming off the top actually too. Some. You know what I mean? It's kind of when you hear when they did Goodfellas, Henry Hill being on set as he's kind of they were talking to him about how stuff actually happened and stuff.
A consultant.
A consultant, yeah, but he's just he's why don't we just skim it? He was trying to he was selling cigarettes to fucking the PA guys. You know what I mean? Want a pack of Reds or Blues? It's like, dude, what are you doing right now?
Right.
Take it easy, all right?
I got a couple loose ones for $1.
Right.
Exactly, dude. It's like, but that's the whole thing about the mob too, bro. Is like, Gotti was the one that whacked Castellano, who was like, but this he was the head of the Gambino. Yeah, Paul Castellano.
Yeah.
And he was the type of Don that was just peaceful, like he was like, we're all making money, it's fine. And
yeah, Paul he steered them away from like Tank said about drugs and like doing things that hurt people, quote unquote, and that's when they started getting into like the unions and like the cement and like garbage unions and
the
like
Teamsters and all.
Yeah.
And the thing about that, but Paul was also, you're supposed to be quiet with everything. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to be in the limelight and what Gotti liked doing. Like Gotti was the one who was just like, he was smiling in pictures and shit. You know what I mean? He's wearing fancy suits and just like, he's putting light on all the stuff that's happening and just drawing attention to himself. And that's what really fucked him too, because that's what he was known for that. So you're just drawing attention. It's like, oh, who's this fucking guy with all this money?
Yeah.
The celebrity
you ever see
mobster.
American Gangster?
Yes, of course.
Classic.
With Frank Lucas in the one scene where he's wearing that mink coat that his wife got him, and then they're like, who's this fucking guy in row 3 with the mink coat?
Right.
And then he goes home and burns the coat because he's like, he just fucked himself. You know what I mean? He just put himself in the limelight,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that criminal world, you have to be low key because one, you don't want thieves and robbers to come and get you, and you also don't want to attract the attention of like police officers. So, but yet people do it anyway, and they fuck themselves over.
But it's an interesting conversation about like organized crime because, like, yes, on paper the white collar shit that they do is like bad, but people in much more bigger financial like positions of power do way worse, and like they don't have the FBI tailing like listening into every phone call they have for like years and shit.
Yeah, right.
I want to piggyback on that part real quick, but go ahead, Mike. Finish what you're gonna say.
No, I was gonna say the government is the fucking mob now. That's what it is.
Yeah,
yeah,
that is what it is. Yeah.
So to piggyback off Mark about the FBI listening and bugging mobsters, like bars, restaurants, whatever. I found out during when Sopranos came out, there was information that was leaked, I think, by FBI or whatever, that they bugged a known mobster, I think, bar, and since the Sopranos was big in like the early 2000s, it was big for them too, and a lot of them were just wondering like, whoever wrote this or whoever's producing it, whoever's giving this guy, I forgot his name, but whoever's giving this man who created Sopranos this information had to been a mobster or knew somebody, because everything that was happening in the show, like how they whacked people, how they got rid of the body, how they communicated, all this other stuff, was literally 1-for-1 what they were doing. They were talking about it, and the plan that FBI's were listening in were like, wait, so you're telling us that everything that show that's not Hollywoodized or not fictionized, that's fucking for real, that this is how these motherfuckers get rid of bodies and stuff?
Oh shit. David Chase. David Chase is the one that wrote.
He looks like a mobster.
Yeah.
Do you have a mob story, Mike, that you can share in public?
That's my time, guys. Thanks.
Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. This episode has been brought to you by.
Okay.
Also, delete everything you just recorded right now.
You got it.
It's funny, when Mark asked me to do this, I owed him $5,000 because I have a gambling problem. So I was like, I have to do the podcast. Got to do it. Well, I used to. Working in casinos back east, like, my dad's told me stories, and like, it's funny, like when The Irishman came out and my parents watched it, they're like, we remember all of this shit. With Buffalino, who Pesci played, and my uncle actually was a Teamster, and the one that they were trying to knock off in Philly was the one that he worked for. You know what I mean? And it just like, But even me, like personal stories, like I dealt, like when I dealt cards, and because I was a dealer back at in a casino in Philly, and then I was a manager and stuff. But I dealt with like the underbosses of the Philly mob and stuff.
Who were
And
playing? Like they would come to you for like they needed things.
Right.
Mark is asking
Mark,
the difficult
you're asking
questions.
the wrong
Right.
questions. Okay, hold on.
Mark is trying to get you killed. That's what
That's
he's
how I
trying
go
to
out. That's how I go
Well,
out.
D'Angelo, it's funny. Like we were saying, I don't know if you said before we started recording or not, but you said how like gangbangers and stuff like always like you. Like
Yeah.
these mob guys always love me. I'm like a young Italian kid. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
And I was like, I'd always break their balls and stuff too. Not like too much to be like, hey, you fucking jerk off. You know what I mean?
Right. I know. I get you.
But when they would crack jokes and being like, God, there's fucking ass on this broad, and stuff, and I'd be like, oh, dude, I would tear it. Like I would just go back and forth with them,
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I dealt with a lot of them, and they always liked me. And like, I do this one bit. I don't want to do my stand-up bit for you guys, but like, but I used to deal to this one guy, and he would, his name was Jimmy. We'll just say it's Jimmy. I won't say his last name. But unless if someone's recording this, they're listening and like we got him. But dude, like these guys used to lose their fucking mind and just go off. You know what I mean? And I would just have to, calm down like mob bosses. You know what I mean?
Oh shit.
Hey, sir, can you just please calm down? Thank you so much.
Calm down. Hold on.
great.
Hey, Jenny, can you bring this man another beer? Calm down. It's
Yeah.
fine, dude.
Right.
Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah.
What do you mean Delta 5 on a 16? Come on.
Right.
The funny bit that I do tell about it, because he was like, this is honest to God what he said to me, because he got in a beef with this guy in a craps game, and I walked up to him. I was like, Jimmy, just calm down, man. This guy's trying to have fun. And I tell this in my bit because it's the exact thing he said. He's like, fun. He's just trying to have fun, and what am I here trying to fuck my mother? And I'm like, what do you say to that? But yeah, we used to have them guys. I mean, casinos have always been known for money laundering. I mean, that's what these guys. We used to have these guys come in and they ran a pizza place. Technically, you know what I mean? But they would drop like, $6,000 each a night on Mississippi Stud because they're just washing the money. You know what I mean? That's what it's what you do. And we used to have. My dad has this awesome story. I don't know. There was this mayor in Atlantic City in the '80s, right? And when Atlantic City first opened in '79, like besides like Boardwalk Empire stuff, but when it legit opened in '79, they had a lot of the Philly guys come by, like Nicky Scarfo and stuff, and he was the head of the Philly mob, and they would come down, and the mayor, I forget if it was like, I think the mayor did something where he's like, we're not going to have the mob in Atlantic City, or he did something, or like owed money or some shit. So there was a hit out on the mayor of Atlantic City at the time, right?
Oh, how interesting.
So everyone knew. I mean, it was just word of mouth around the city and stuff too. Like this mayor, like crossed the mob, like he has a hit on him,
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was he was a doorman at the Golden Nugget at the time, and I think it was Golden Nugget, or it might have been Bowie's Grand at that time or whatever. But it was like the late '80s, like whatever. But he said there was one time where like they found out about that, and like they seen the mayor's car roll up, right? And usually when a car rolls up, everyone's got to help everybody. But my dad said like him and all his buddies were like, oh shit, that's the mayor's fucking car. Everyone get inside. Because they kept thinking like this guy's gonna get out of his car, people are gonna start shooting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you gotta get away from the bullets.
Yeah. So like
Right.
he said it was so surreal. Like he felt like he was in like The Godfather when they kill Sonny at the toll booth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like the mayor would get out of his car and just be like, "Where's fucking everybody at? Where's everybody?" But,
That's funny.
yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, the mob is still happening. You know what I mean? Like, I have,
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
yeah.
So when I was in Italy last year, we were driving through Salerno. It's on the western side. It's a nice beach town. It's like a pretty hilly place, and I'll never forget this. Me and my girlfriend stopped for pizza, right? And we just were walking, like we're going through the shops. We don't see something we like, And then, we see a thing of Pinocchio, we're like, all right, that's like kind of cool. So we walk in, swear to God, exactly the guy's description. He's about 250 pounds in like basketball shorts and like an Adidas jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Spoke perfect English, like could have been straight from Jersey. He's like, yo, you need a table, you want to eat lunch, like what's wrong? I was like, all right, yeah, like whatever, it's fine. And during our meal, which couldn't have, just a normal meal, 30 minutes, 15 cars came by, like all different types of people, all guys. They all got out, gave him some money, gave him a hug, walked away. And we were the only ones eating in the restaurant, mind you.
What?
I was like, we just helped somebody launder some money. That's what we did. But it was great pizza, so I was like, okay, whatever.
I mean, it's perfect business.
Your girlfriend's like, should we leave a tip? You're like, yeah, fucking leave a tip. Leave a tip.
He was nice. He gave us wine. All right, like, come on, let's get out of here.
Sounds like a good guy to me. He took care of y'all. He gave y'all the pizza, wine.
Like,
great guy.
If you think about the culture of what it means to be in the mob, it's like, you take care of family, you take care of people who are close to you. You don't ever talk to the government. You don't ever go down for somebody. Depending on the circumstances.
They said back in the day, like the old Vegas days, before it got all corporation and stuff. I mean, the mob really knew how to run. That's when Vegas was the best. They knew how to run it. They would take care of you, give you the buffets and all this. Just take care of you with rooms and stuff. Now it's like, it's all computerized, and it's like, do I have any comp dollars? It's like, you have $2 because you lost 3. It's just like, it's all this algorithm shit, like.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, Benny Binion was the first guy to say to offer free drinks to everybody in Vegas, not just high rollers.
No shit.
And now that's like, that's a staple. That's one of the only things Vegas has left is, free booze. You can't get them anywhere like a indie casino or any other casino. You gotta pay for them.
Yeah, but that's also how the mobsters were able to stay on top for so long because even if you're doing illegal shit or not, if you treat people well, people kind of just let shit slide. It's like, he shot this dude across the street, but he shot this dude across the street, but fuck it, he helped my mom into the building, so he's a good guy. He opened the door.
He killed 7 people? Nah, he helped my mom up the steps. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's funny.
Tank,
did you have a lot of, growing up in Chicago, did you have like a lot of that, did you see a lot of those mobster guys hanging out and stuff? Like, I know it wasn't like,
me
crazy,
growing up,
but
it was mainly growing up in the neighborhoods I was in, it was mainly gangbangers. But I do have one mobster story, which is with the Cuban mob here in Chicago.
Shout out to Cuba.
So, back in the day, the neighborhood I lived in just was crappy. It was like around mid 2000s, the early 2000s, and we had 2 main gangbangers that were going at it, which was the OAs and Latin Maniac Disciples, aka we just call them D's, or we just mainly call them D's for short. So they always got into fights, mainly gunfights, of course, down this street called Milwaukee, and there was constant conflict all the time. There was always shootings across right there. So we always kept away with it, especially in summertime when me, my friends, my siblings will ride bikes around the neighborhoods, and as soon as we see shady mofos walking that direction, we already know stay away from that area. And sure enough, give it like 5-10 minutes later, you hear pops. So there's a restaurant there called Café con Leche. Mark, you know this.
We went there.
That restaurant, before it got into the new ownership, it was operated and owned by the Cuban Mafia. Rumor has it that the Cuban Mafia threatened both these sides with war if they kept up the bullshit on that area, because that was their spot. They sold nothing but sandwiches there. which also could have been their money laundering spot, and that area always got a lot of police activity.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Mobsters don't like police, let
Yeah.
alone the FBI.
Yeah.
So supposedly it was rumored that they made that area a no-touch zone. If they want to fight, they better go somewhere else.
They made it safer. They made your
Pretty
community
much.
safer.
They sure
Mobsters
did.
definitely made it safe.
And here's what's funny.
How are the sandwiches? Were they good?
Mark, tell them.
It was the best Cubano I've ever had.
Really?
Their coffee, the ingredients and the recipe is still the same, but the only difference is under new ownership, the fucking new owner just hiked up the prices. But the coffee and the sandwich you can't beat, especially getting like for brunch or even early morning, 8 o'clock. Get yourself a steak sandwich or a cubano with a cafe con leche. Oh, you're good to go.
Oh, nice. Hell
Damn,
yeah.
that sounds good.
That is an interesting story about that. See, they make it better, man. It's the government. The government's the mob for sure.
Yeah, they definitely took. Yeah, the government definitely took, pointers from the mob and I believe from the pimps of the early 70s too. And they just kind of incorporated that shit and just took everybody out and was like, we're going to use everything that you guys use against, the rest of the world and shit.
And here's the funny part about that. He's saying the government's a mob. I believe so because the alderman of our neighborhood basically said that he was the one that helped limit gang activity. It's like, homie, the word went around that it wasn't you. It was the mob.
Right.
But after they sold it, I never seen them again.
Wow.
Taking credit for it and shit.
Bro, and I'll never forget. Every time I walk past there, when I was younger, I remember it was 3 Cuban guys. One was light skinned and the 2 were black. And one of the black guys, he was tall, handsome looking guy, older gentleman, had those old school, like 1965 like type cars. And he will drive that around every summer. And he'll hang out in front of the shop. Like that was his like little showing off moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his retirement plan. Just drive the car around the block, make sure everything is where it needs to be.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I just love the whole thing about the mob, man. They just seem like they're cool as fuck. I mean, sure that they fucked a lot of people up and fucked people over, but still, it's like you can't deny how cool these motherfuckers are, man.
It's just the lore, like, okay, what is it? It's like when it comes to American mobsters, American cowboys, it's like all this stuff. It's like we grew up like the samurai and the knights of Europe and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
it's like cowboys are like the knights of America.
Yeah.
The mobsters became like this underground syndicate, like like this underground like legend and lore. Same with if you go in the past, like of certain cults or whatever throughout Europe and Asia. And it's just like these things is people just gravitate toward it, especially Americans. Like Sopranos was considered one of the #1 show and literally helped put HBO on the map.
Oh, hell yeah. It's the best. I've watched it like from start to finish like 5 times.
And you got movies like The
really
Godfather that that's considered still to this day one of the best and most it's considered the best and most treasured film trilogy throughout cinema history.
Yeah.
Like even though it was like, can this movie be made today? No, but everybody still watches it even today.
Yeah.
What's the same with like Godfather, where you're bringing Corleone, Vito Corleone? You're making these guys human, and like Tony Soprano too. Like he's just a guy trying to supply for his family. You know what I mean? Like even like having moments with Meadow, or just like his wife. Like he's just going through like relationships and stuff. It's making these people have empathy and compassion. You know what I mean? Like even Tony's like big thing in the beginning was like he just loved those ducks.
Everybody loves ducks.
Who doesn't love ducks?
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like whenever you tell a story of someone who like especially like is made out by like the media or the government to be the bad guy, you realize that it's like it's nothing is black and white, and like we're just people and we're able to relate to it. I think that's why people remember those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the movies I liked, the mob movie, was Killing Them Softly.
I
Oh,
love
that's
that
so
movie,
good.
dude.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
And
With Brad Pitt,
yep,
right? It's
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it is like how realistic they made it, especially of like the theme of it was it's during the recession. Even the mobs were suffering from the recession.
Yeah.
And how they're like, okay, you could get your other hitman, but he's flying economic. And it's just like, all right, cool.
Right.
And then they lose
Listen,
money because he got drunk enough.
on this guy.
Right.
And then
Yeah, hi. One Delta to Chicago, please.
Oh my god.
Come on, Jimmy. I can't get first class. You're getting coach. You're getting coach. No carry-on? You don't need it.
you don't need it.
That's so funny.
That's that main clue. What do you mean I don't need my... Oh, fuck.
That's so funny.
Hey, Mike, do you have a favorite mob movie?
There's so many. Okay. Maybe we can. You guys consider Pulp Fiction a mob movie, right?
It's a crime movie.
It definitely
Yeah.
is. And it's just a bunch of stories smacked in one movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, a lot of people hate it, but I mean, I'm kind of a fan because I think the accents are funny. But I really like The Departed.
Oh, I love
The
it.
Departed.
Oh, Departed is actually really good.
I did not know that was
love
based on a true event
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
in Boston. I did not know that.
That was based on what's it called? Not Justin Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson. I was saying Justin. Jack Nicholson was based off Whitey Bulger, who was a big Boston guy, who actually was like an FBI informant. Not to ruin Departed for everybody. It's been 15 years. Go watch the movie.
Right.
Someone listening right now to the podcast, like, they fucking ruined Departed for me.
Right.
Kidding me? That was on my quarantine list. This is bullshit.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that movie's so fucking good, dude. So good.
So one thing about The Departed, I watched it when I was younger, and one thing I never forget and made me realize how fragile humans are was the scene when they had what's his name, Matt Damon, when he was in the elevator with who was the other guy? It was Matt Damon and
Leo DiCaprio.
Leo DiCaprio, and as soon as the door opens, pop, headshot.
Oh my god.
And then you had what's his name? I think it was another cop, the black dude.
Anthony Anderson.
Then him, pop.
Yeah.
And that was the first time, because I watched action movies as a kid, seeing all this chaos and drama, but it was just like, it's part of the act. But watching something like this and serious and seeing it like up close, then seeing Rambo spray a bunch of guys from afar versus being up close and personal, and that's when it hit me with like, yo, this shit is fucking, this is too real for me. Like, we're
Martin
so
Scorsese
fragile.
Took a page out of the Quentin Tarantino handbook.
Yep.
Right.
Dude, seeing that, like, I seen that in movie theaters, Departed, and seeing that part, it was just like, oh fuck! It was just like, it was insane. It was such a surprise ending. Now anyone listening to the podcast, that they're like, you fucking ruined Departed for me. But that ending was, I mean, that's one of the best endings, I think, of like, it's definitely top 5 endings of movies.
Yeah.
It's like, what
definitely.
the fuck just happened? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'll probably put it even in the top 3, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because it's incredible, dude.
I also found out that Nicholson's character, that bar scene when he pulls out the pistol, wasn't scripted. That was all he just like, watch this. And when they started filming, he just goes into character, pulls out the pistol, and scares the living crap. I think it was Matt Damon. He's just like, what the hell?
Like this fucking scathing rat. Fucking rat. Yeah.
And that's when it was like, that's all that you saw on scene. All of Matt Damon's face was all legit, because he's really thought like, this wasn't in the script, bro.
Yeah. So funny. DiCaprio was so good in that too, dude. When he's just like, I love that scene when he's like, when he's at the therapist, and she gives him 2 pills. He's like, 2 pills? 2 pills? Why don't you give me a fucking bottle of scotch and a handgun so I can blow my fucking brains out? I want this bullshit. And it's just like, oh, it's just so fucking good.
I like how if the movie's set in Boston, every actor feels the need to do that like South Boston accent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's automatically Bill Burr. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey Johnny,
What's going on with this?
On fire.
Yeah. You want to fucking go? You fucking departed? Okay. Yeah, you fucking do that. This is crazy.
But they all do it. Like Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon, like Jack Nicholson. They're all
even
just...
The Town too. Dude.
That's
The Town's on
The Town.
Netflix now.
Ooh,
Town's so
Town is
good.
really good.
That's not a mob movie, but like those guys are just like, you know,
that's
bank
that's a straight thriller bank robbery movie, and even that one, just that accent. When I love the part where he goes up to Jeremy, he goes, "I'm gonna need your help. We're gonna hurt some people, and I don't need you to ask any questions." And I just love how fucking Jeremy's right there with with his beard, like, "Who's Kyle we're taking?"
Yeah, yeah, so good, so good.
I think Renner was robbed a little bit for that. I think he did a really good performance. It was I forgot his character's name. Chip. I don't know what was his name?
In The Town?
Yeah.
Affleck and then Jeremy Reiner, right?
Yeah. But what does his character play?
Oh, I forget his character's name. I don't know.
Man.
Yeah.
I hate when that happens.
I just put Boston guy number 2 is what I write down. I'm like, Irish guy.
James Coughlin. That's it.
James Coughlin.
Ah, okay.
Jimmy Coughlin. What's your favorite mob movie? You said. What'd you guys say?
I like The Departed, but you know, there's a lot. Public Enemy's good. Obviously, The Godfather's up there.
Yeah.
You got. I just had a list in front of me.
I think like Goodfellas is definitely like my number. Godfather and Goodfellas. Godfather's more like old school mob. I think Goodfellas. I seen Goodfellas when I was 15 and was like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah. I like movies that like aren't as like Casino. Like I think that's super underrated, but it's like it's up there with Godfather and like the Goodfellas in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Casino's great. The one thing about Casino, they fucking, I mean, they put too much Sharon Stone in it.
Yeah, that's so true.
You know,
it was the
like,
90s.
okay,
It was where it didn't matter if the world was burning. You had to put some love story in there where Ben Affleck saves the world and then goes and gets married.
Good Lord.
Yeah. D'Angelo, what's your favorite mob movie?
All right, I have 2. So I have Goodfellas, as you already said, and The Bronx Tale for me is one of my favorites.
Oh,
Ooh,
what a curveball right there.
Yeah,
that's very underrated too.
Yeah,
I love Bronx Tale. I seen that live, the live show of it with him, Chaz Palminteri, back in Phil. I actually met Chaz Palminteri. Was the first guy I ever met, like the first like famous person I met out in L.A. And it was awesome. He was doing this play called Unorganized Crime, and you ever hear of the Elephant Theater? I think it's still on Santa Monica, right there. We're like small 100-person theater, and I went to go see it, and then like afterwards he was hanging out, so I was like I got to go up and say something to him. So I was like, hey Chaz, my name is Mike. I'm an actor out here. You know, I just moved out here it was like my first like 2 months in LA 6 years ago. And dude, it was like he was doing the 3 fingers thing and stuff. Like it was like out of a scene of a Bronx Tale. I was like, do you have any advice for me? Like, you know, I'm just, an actor, comedian and stuff. He's like, let me tell you something, all right? You could have, let me tell you something Woody Allen once told me, all right? You know, you could go, what did he say? He's like, you could have stayed home tonight, but you didn't. You came out to see me, Chaz Palminteri. And, that's 80% of the thing. You just got to go. You got to show up. Put your foot in the door, And it was just like, and he was doing the finger thing the whole time. And I was like, holy shit, this is fucking great.
Okay.
That's actually some really good advice, too.
You probably went home and were like, I got the secret to Hollywood right here. I learned it tonight.
All right, I just gotta say one thing. This is because my Midwest ass wants to know, why is it East Coast Italians always gotta say their name, always speak in third person every other sentence?
Yo, that's so true. That is so accurate.
I always notice that. Like, I'm like, yo, these East Coast Italians always, every other sentence got to say their name.
Right.
And then keep going. Like, homie, I understand. Just say I or me.
Say I.
Well, like myself, Mike Perkins, I feel like I don't know, like did I say Mike Perkins yet? I don't think I believe that. I don't know.
Because I thought that was always like a stereotype amongst like in movies. Because a couple of times it's just you see that a couple of times, but then it's like, yo, this is not a movie. I'm literally staring at this guy. He's saying the same thing.
That's
the
so
only
funny.
the only thing I know that East Coast Italians say that I to this day I don't understand is that they call tomato sauce gravy, and I don't understand that.
Dude, I say gravy. It's gravy.
Why? It's not gravy, dude.
It's gravy. It's gravy.
Wait, I'm so confused. Why do you call it gravy? Because I imagine gravy like goes on potatoes. Like, I'm so lost right now.
That's brown gravy. Yeah, it's brown gravy.
There's gravy and then there's brown gravy, homie.
And then the red sauce is gravy. Yeah.
But if you have to describe the gravy to say the word, like to say what you're eating, then I feel like that's too many words.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was at work. This is a while ago, and this older Asian lady. We were at like the buffet line at the in the break room, and it was Italian. It was like Italian day, so they had like, they had the gravy and stuff, and they had like mozzarella, whatever, all the good stuff, like lasagna and shit. And she's like, give me some of that, give me some of that. She's like, and the lady's like, what? And she's like, the juice. And I was like, the juice. I was like, Ming, that's gravy. And she's like, no, it's juice. And I'm like, I was like, what is that, Italian juice? What are you talking about? It's like somebody get like a protein shake. That's like, I'll take the Italian juice, please. I'm on a cleanse. I'm doing
what's
the
in
Italian
it, like
juice.
celery, cilantro, oregano, and like salami or mozzarella.
Yeah.
Just in a smoothie.
Yeah. Can I get the mozzarella stick smoothie? Thank you so much. Add some extra au gratin in there, will you? Thanks.
And don't forget the gravy.
Yeah, don't forget the gravy. I think it's a New York thing though, because New York people do say sauce. I think Jersey, we always say gravy.
Mm.
Ah.
Oh wow, it's even more segregated.
Yeah. That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah.
How about newest gang movie? Quick.
Newest game movie
That you watched or remember?
I love The Irishman, dude. That's the newest one that I love.
The Irishman is pretty good.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen a mob or a crime movie other than Irishman because I haven't really. Yeah, well, I only have Netflix, so it's only so much I could like see. But that was that's a good one.
I have yet to see
I know
The
a
Irishman.
terrible one to talk about too, but I'll wait.
I have yet to see The Irishman, so that's on my list.
Oh man, you
need like a whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 4 hours, so be prepared.
You gotta
Hell, I did The Godfather in one sitting.
pause it, go get some food, come back.
There's an actual intermission in the movie.
Yeah. So funny.
Have you guys seen American Hustle? It came out in like 2013. I like that movie.
American
I
Hustle.
mean,
That
it
was okay.
It was okay.
It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good.
It wasn't like memorable to me.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fair.
But if you all want to see a terrible mob movie, you all should see Gangster Squad.
I love Gangster Squad. What are you talking about?
Oh my god, I saw that
That's
one.
the
Yeah.
worst movie of all time, Mark. Come on, man.
Sean Penn is what's his name? Mickey Cohen was the big LA guy. Yeah.
Yeah. That movie is so bad.
The only thing I
thought it
like,
was-
I just want to say this. The only thing I like about that movie was just old school LA. Other than that, it was
Yeah,
just.
so it's a love letter to like 1940s LA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible. With Sean Penn. It's like he needs to retire like a decade ago. But
First of all, he looked horrible in that movie. It's like this is supposed to be in the 40s, homie. I did not know they had plastic surgery like that in the 40s. And to find out there was a such thing called plastic surgery. John Dillinger, back in Chicago, got plastic surgery for a wound. I think it was a knife wound he got across his face, and got it done in my neighborhood at this. I think it was the Milkshire Hotel back when it was a hotel, not a crack house. I ain't bullshitting.
Same thing, right?
Same thing. But yeah, he got plastic surgery done to remove the scar, so that way he wasn't as recognizable.
Wow. That was a good move with Johnny Depp. He played a good Dillinger.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
was that movie called Dillinger? What was that called? It was called.
I think it was called Public Enemy. I think it was called Public Enemy.
Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Public Enemy. Yeah.
That one I liked a lot. Seeing old school like Chicago and how they just one like I definitely watched that one.
Dude, I really wanted them. I mean, everyone's seen Boardwalk Empire, right?
Yeah.
Parts of it.
I have the DVD set.
The guy that played Capone, I forget the actor's name, but he was so fucking good as Al Capone. Like, I wanted them to do just a series on Capone in Chicago back in that time, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been so fucking good if they did something like that.
Yeah, like a spin-off with that guy.
Yeah, they should have did a spinoff.
That's the thing. Incredible. That's the one sad thing that Netflix does is like if they get a show like that, they'll make it, but then they'll just after a few seasons, it's like doesn't make the money anymore. They just like end it. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, what are you talking? You just ruined it. Why?
Well, I think Netflix does that. It's because they have so much debt, like it's ridiculous, dude. So it's like they can only do something for so long.
Yeah, and it's like if they're not getting new subscribers from what they're making, it's not worth it to them. Yeah, sadly.
They owe so much money to the mob. I think that's why.
Well, they just had a recent partnership with Nickelodeon, so that probably helped some financial wise.
The Orange Mob.
That was that was a Gambino decision. He's like, my fucking daughter loves Nickelodeon. Better put some shit in there.
Right.
So funny.
You better not take off SpongeBob or somebody's gonna pay.
Right.
I love that guy lives in a pineapple under the sea. What's his name? Yeah, keep him on there. Keep him on there.
Well, I have a question for everybody. Sure. All right, so I feel like why does everybody has some admiration for the mafia, but they don't necessarily have the same admiration for somebody that's in like a motorcycle gang? So why do y'all think that is?
It's definitely the leather jackets. It's totally leather jackets. I'd rather wear a suit than all leather. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Fuck those leather jackets.
But okay, so hold on. The leather jackets, like obviously bikers wear them for protection, but in California, historically they've actually been sort of a symbol of gay men like coming out and being able to wear like leather in public. And so it's like the biker gang aesthetic has like it's like a dual meaning of like, are they gay or are they like running a crime syndicate right here?
Do you guys have any listeners in the Hells Angels? Because you're definitely going to get some flack for that.
If you are listening
to the Hells
Angels, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes.
We ain't talking shit.
Right.
First off, I'm not gay, and you ruined The Departed for me. This is bullshit. God damn it. I'm fucking riding over in my motorcycle.
Right, and if they want a problem, they should definitely talk to Mark, because Mark brought that up, not us.
I'm just happy they made it to episode 200 where we interviewed Mike.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think like, I don't know. I think they're just not as cool. It's just kind of they're just too like basic. You know what I mean? Like, what do? Now I'm gonna get killed. I'm with you, Mark. We'll get killed by the Hells Angels.
Y'all gonna get killed by the Hells Angels.
All right.
But like, motorcycle gangs do what? They just like, I mean, they have motorcycles, obviously. But then like they don't. They run like, well, they're big on like drugs and stuff, right? Don't they run heroin and stuff? All that
drugs
stuff?
and guns.
Yeah.
Across state lines.
Yeah. So they're big on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's just harder because I think like we said earlier with the history, like mobsters did a lot more to create America, just like other immigrants did, and I think now like at least biker gangs are sort of contemporary. They're the modern day, just different version of a gang, I guess.
the mob actually helped out in World War II and stuff too. When
Yeah.
they took out, they were like helpful to get Mussolini and all that stuff out of the power and all that shit. Like during like the Hitler and that
Yeah, like socialist times.
Yeah, I mean, they even like the Irishman talks on it, where they like kind of like got like Kennedy into office and stuff and all that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're very heavy with that stuff.
Yeah, because they actually got some votes for JFK. Well, they basically did some like illegal shit in Chicago in order to make sure that JFK won.
And that's why JFK got the nickname as Chicago's president.
Right.
Oh wow! Look at that
I
shit.
didn't know that.
Yep. If you look it up.
Did he lose the title now since he was assassinated and he's not black now?
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
But
that was like, D, was that okay? Was that on the line or did I cross the line?
You're good. You're on the line. You're good.
All right.
It's
But-
okay, D. The Hell's Angels are going to take him out in a second anyway, so don't worry.
Yeah, no worries. But I wanted to add to D's question on why, Italian mobsters or just mobsters in general are look more. What was it again, D? The question?
Why do we admire them over, like biker gangs?
And this, I think, is not just biker gangs, but all types of other gangs as well. It's that we romanticize with the mobsters.
I agree.
Everybody does. And it's not just movies and media has become that way, and to the point that now you have so many movies based on the mobs. You have TV shows based on the mob. And you can't forget we also have reality shows based on mob wives.
Yeah, mob wives.
Oh yeah.
Like if you look at it, you don't have a TV show called Hell's Angels Wives. Or you don't have a TV show,
They all have black eyes and shit, and they're like, my husband's got a brewery.
Right.
You don't have a TV show of Latin
one
King baby
trailer
mamas.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just like, just the mob has been romanticized. And it's not even just the Italian mob. It's the Italian, that's became the thing. But you got the Italian mob, you got the Russian mob, the Cuban mob, the Puerto Rican mob, the African mob, like the African American mob. You have all these different types of mobs.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's been more romanticized, especially that it's like what I said earlier. When drug dealing started to become big, the mobsters just stood away from it.
Yeah.
I think that they stood away from it. My bad for cutting you off, but I think that they stood away from it mostly because you get a lot of heat dealing with drugs. So it's best to just avoid it.
And that's why they dealt with real estate, constructions, unions, casinos, alcohol. They organized crime, but they did it in a way where it was legal.
Yeah, they like reverse engineered the American like legal system when they're like, oh, you guys are gonna crack down on drugs? Oh, we'll just move to trash truck workers.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll make deals with those assholes.
Well, that's the government that ruined all that, dude. I mean, that's why that's why the mob started fizzling out in the 80s and 90s, because when they started fucking around with drugs, it wasn't any longer where like, all right, you got pinched for something and then you got out like 2 months later or whatever. Like with the RICO Act and all that stuff, guys were getting 30 years to life and they would just roll over on everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, it's like in Goodfellas when I talk about Henry Hill, like, he had all the cocaine and shit. It's like, hey, you're doing life in prison. He's like, I'll fucking go to Minnesota, or whatever.
Right.
I think it's more of like the government ruined that for everyone.
They also stated that the government was also the issue that caused the whole issue with street gangs. Mobs used to take care of that.
Did.
Mobs took care of that, but because of the focus on mobsters as the major threat to American society versus these street gangs, they thought like these street gangs are going to be nothing. They're going to phase out, it's whatever, and focus on the mob. That's like you said, you started to see them fizzle out in the 80s and 90s. What happened in the 80s and 90s, especially in minority neighborhoods? Activity of gang violence went up. There was a power vacuum.
Yep.
Right. Because when you take out the head of any organization, then it pretty much means that everybody's pretty much just going to fight for that top or fight for that position. Also, in Chicago, around like the 70s and 80s, these the black gangs, they pretty much had these leaders. You have Jeff Ford, Larry Hoover, and all of them. But when they were in those communities, they actually kept it all safe, and they actually kind of kept the crime under control. And they also pushed all of the drugs outside of the city, so it wouldn't make it in. So once they kind of took out those leaders of those gangs, then that's when everything kind of just ran amok, and then that's when you go with the whole vacuum. Everybody's trying to fight for power, then it just creates a whole bunch of chaos.
I think that's what we like romanticize is the organization of it too.
Yeah.
Because like, you look at the Italian mob, or even like you said, what was his name, Hoover?
Yeah.
Like him, like getting the drugs out of the communities and stuff. That's a big thing. People would be like, they appreciate that. You know what I mean? Even though they don't care where you're getting your money from, but as long as you're not just like, killing people outside of your, your daughter's bedroom, like whatever.
Right.
Yeah, as long as we don't see it.
Watching like
Right.
in quarantine, I watched like all of Narcos and Narcos Mexico and stuff, and I'm like, those people are fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yes.
all right, so the Italian mob, like, okay, they kill each other, but like they just kill someone that ratted someone out, or they're not gonna like kill your wife and kids. Whereas like,
Right.
I mean, some of the scenes in Narcos, he threw like, all right, spoiler alert, everyone's gonna hate that I ruined Narcos. But
You ruined everything.
they threw some 5-year-old girl off of a bridge because they had to kill the mom too, and it was like, holy shit, like that's just like the Narcos guys are out of fucking control, like
Yeah.
it's like there's no organization to that. I mean, you're organized, like yes, because the transportation and stuff, but like they got like no like remorse.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
They kill you and the family.
Yeah.
What movie? I forgot what movie was it where. And crap, I think it was
with Johnny Depp and Al Pacino.
No, it was a movie. No, either it was a movie or the Daredevil Netflix show, and they had like some like just a mob presence, and I never forget what Buddy said. He goes back in the day. He goes back in the day when you killed a man, you sent his wife flowers. Nowadays, when you kill a man, you send his wife with him.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
And I think it was Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil show, that had that scene, or it was a mob movie. I forgot, but either or, there was a mobster in there.
Wow.
Wow. Now that we had this discussion, it really made me think about more of the mob now. In a way, they were kind of like Americans' anti-heroes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes, because, sure they did all bad things, but when you kind of humanize them, you kind of understand the reasons why they did what they did. Plus, they also help people out, too. Because, what we was all discussing, or as I always talk about on the cast, was that my grandparents had a relationship with the mafia, and they always treated them right, They never really had any bad dealings with them. They always took care of them. They was always respectful, so, yeah. And I didn't even think they fucked with black people, but boy, was I wrong.
The mob actually, I was watching this documentary one time. The mob actually took out a bunch of KKK people down south.
Oh, wow.
Because they were doing, the mob was doing business with some people. I forget, maybe it was some gang down south or something. I don't know. When the KKK decided to they killed like 2 black guys, and then one of the guys was part of the mob. So the mob just came down and took out this whole this whole section of the KKK.
Oh my god!
For fucking with them, and I think they did that a lot during the '60s and stuff, where they would just be, if they seen some KKK groups, they just went up and fucking killed them all. You know what I mean?
Wow.
They were just like, yeah, fuck the KKK.
I was waiting for that in The Irishman because they were going south. They're just like have some racist dealing and just like have Robert De Niro's like old ass just like take them all out real quick.
Yeah.
Get back in the car and go pee in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But well, we're just about at an hour, Mike. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, this was awesome, man. This was fun.
Hope you had a good time. Tell the lovely listeners where they can find you, what you got going on.
You can't find me anywhere. Don't worry about it. Okay. You're never gonna. I'm at Mike Perkins _ on Instagram. You can check out my website, themikeperkins.com, for video sketches, all that good stuff. And I host a late night talk show. You can check that out. Another late show tonight with me, Mike Perkins. I know I said my name a bunch of times, but it's because I'm an East Coast Italian guy.
Yeah.
Me as Mike Perkins has to say that all the time. So. But this is awesome, guys. Thanks so much. This is a lot of fun.
Appreciate you joining us, man.
It's good to have a real mobster, talk to us.
Mark, cut that out, okay? Cut that out. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well,
and ladies
take it home.
I'll take it home.
We're always messed up.
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an Incompetent Nerds episode. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please, all of our details are in the bottom. You know how to contact us. And wherever you are listening to, have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. Peace.
Peace.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mark from Incompetent Nerds. We have our sponsor. Shop Valerio is a online watch and sunglasses brand for men and women. And if you go to shopvalerio.com and use our code MARK.25, you get 25% off your purchase. That's shopvalerio.com and use the code MARK.25 for 25% off. Thanks for listening.